So, good morning, gentlemen, and I'm saying good morning at 12:15 midnight. So, good morning because good morning brings a sense of energy. So, today we'll be discussing about the Israel-Iran war, about the Israel-Iran conflict that is going on. So, firstly, we will be discussing about the historical background of this conflict, and then we will be discussing about the stance of Israel's point of view. What does Israel believe? And then we will be discussing about the Iran's point of view, and after that we will be discussing about current ongoing situation, and then we will be discussing about India's position. Although you are not in front of me, but it's going to be like a discussion because I will try to be as articulate as possible, and I will try my best to make you understand. Okay. And after that I will be discussing about the impact on India of this conflict, and then the future aspects, and at last the military lessons that the Indian armed forces can learn from this conflict. Okay. And then the conclusion. So let's begin. So talking about the Israel Iran war. ठीक है. So historical background से शुरू करेंगे हम लोग. So before 1979, Iran under Shah Pahlavi, under Shah Pahlavi. So Shah Pahlavi was the president, and he was ruling the Iran before 1979, and that time Iran was a good friend and a good ally of both the US and Israel, and both the countries used to like Iran at that time. Okay. Then what happened in 1979? In 1979, a Islamic revolution came in Iran, and Islamic revolution ousted the Shah Pahlavi from the power, and he brought the current leader Ayatollah Khamenei into the power. ठीक है. So 1979 में Iranian revolution आया, and in a Iranian regime अंडर अयोतुल्ला खमैनी जो अभी लीडर हैं. ठीक है. और वो जैसे क्रिश्चियंस में पॉप होते हैं ना सबसे बड़े लीडर, जैसे रिलीजियस लीडर, ऐसे सिया सेक्ट है ना मुस्लिम्स का, उसमें अयोतुल्ला खमैनी इज़ अ ग्रेट लीडर. ठीक है. उनके लिए आई हैव नो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू अबाउट हिम. ठीक है. द इस्लामिक regime under Ayatollah Khamenei came to power in 1979, and then the relation between the Israel and the Iran broke completely. Iran declared Israel as an illegitimate Zionist regime. भाई वीडियो चल रही है? ठीक है. So Iran declared Israel as an illegitimate Zionist regime. ईरान ने डिक्लेयर कर दिया इसराइल को कि ये तो इलीगल हैं, ये तो बाहर से आके बसे हैं, इनको जर्मनी से भगाया गया था, हिटलर ने इनकी पिटाई की थी, एंड देन द ज्यूज दे रैन अवे फ्रॉम द यूरोप, एंड they told US and other western countries that now they are the refugee, so they want some land. So later we will be discussing about this same topic, that how US and UK helped the Israel to settle into the current land, which is called the land of Israel. Early before 1948 there was no country of name Israel. ठीक है. So then about the history we will be this Lebanon war and Hezbollah in the 1980s. Iran created and backed Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a militant organization in the country of Lebanon, and ईरान ने इसे क्रिएट किया था टू फाइट अगेंस्ट इसराइल. ये प्रॉक्सी है. प्रॉक्सी मतलब ईरान के फेवर में काम करता है, ईरान के लिए काम करता है. जैसे नहीं कहते इधर आदमी रख लिए इसने, जैसे पहली पुरानी मूवीज़ में गुंडे अपने आदमी रख लेते थे, तो ये हिजबुल्लाह ईरान का आदमी है. ये जब भी ईरान वहाँ से बोलेगा कि इसको इसराइल पे हमला कर दो, वो हमला कर देता है, और वो ईरान के लिए लड़ता है, और वो लेबनान में स्टेशनड है जो कि इसराइल के नॉर्थ में है. तो ईरान दूर भले ही है, लेकिन इज़राइल पे चेक पूरा है कि भाई साहब कभी भी अटैक कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। तो इज़राइल यूजिंग असिमेट्रिक, सो लेबनान ने इज़राइल से फाइट करी यूजिंग असिमेट्रिक वॉरफेयर, बिकॉज यू नो जितने भी मिलिटेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होते हैं ये सीधे आके वॉर नहीं लगते दैट वी आर वेजिंग अ वॉर कम फाइट अगेंस्ट अस, नहीं, ये करेंगे टेररिस्ट अटैक, ये करेंगे बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट। सो ये एक बड़ा चैलेंज हो जाता है फॉर द कंट्रीज। देन इज Iran's nuclear program. Since the 2000, Iran has seen Israel as potential. Israel has seen Iran. I correct myself. Israel has seen Iran as a potential country to develop nuclear weapon, and Israel has also seen Iran as an existential threat, because Iran में आए दिन प्रोटेस्ट होती हैं एंड दे कॉल डेथ टू Israel, Israel मुर्दाबाद एंड सो अदर स्लोगन्स। सो Israel believes that Iran is an existential threat to them, ठीक है। न्यूक्लियर पावर्ड ईरान अगर बन गया then surely it is an existential threat to Israel, because they will hit them. There is high probability that Iran can hit Israel with nuclear weapons if Israel violated his sovereignty. then अभी वायलेट कर रहा है बिकॉज अभी इतनी पावर नहीं है। सो ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रही है इन दोनों के बीच में, ठीक है। देन आफ्टर दी 2000 जब से ईरान ने न्यूक्लियर वेपन अपने डेवलप करने चालू किए, फिर क्या किया इज़राइल ने, वो फिर एक्टिवेट हो गया इज़राइल कि अब कुछ करना है। तो फिर इज़राइल ने वॉर वेज कर दिया, और 2000 के समय से ही जब से उसे पता चला कि ईरान ने अपनी 3 न्यूक्लियर फैसिलिटीज़ बना रखी हैं, फोर्डो, इस्फहान एंड नतान्स। इन तीनों को याद कर लेना, ये GD SSB लेक्चरेट कहीं भी बोल सकते हो, बिकॉज ये 3 बहुत मेजर न्यूक्लियर साइट्स हैं ईरान की, ठीक है। फोर्डो, इस्फहान एंड नतान्स न्यूक्लियर फैसिलिटीज़ हैं। जैसे ही इज़राइल को पता चला कि ईरान इज़ डेवलपिंग न्यूक्लियर वेपन एज दिस साइट्स, इज़राइल एक्टिवेटेड इट्स मोसाद एजेंट्स एंड इज़राइल स्टार्टेड हिटिंग हिज एनिमी, ठीक है। देन another aspect is cyber and shadow war between the Israel and Iran. Shadow war means there is no direct war, it's indirect war, ठीक है। Israel usually involves itself into the shadow war, and for example the assassination of Iranian nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh in 2020, that time अगर आपने वीडियो देखी हुई होगी, it was a very difficult mission for Israel. Israel was thousands of kilometers away from Iran, and then also Israel using its high-tech technology, satellite communication and its agent in the Iran, Israel hit the main top nuclear scientist of Iran, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, and thus in this way Israel hurt Iran, ठीक है। and the agents of Israel who were in Iran that time, they ambushed upon the car of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh and killed him, ठीक है। Then Israel also did cyber attacks like Starnex and attacks on ships and fuel tankers. So Israel, whenever Israel wants, conducts cyber attacks also on Iran, and wherever there is a nuclear facility, surely there will be computers and the electronic devices, and Israel is a very high-tech country, and whenever they are conducting the cyber attacks on the Iran, it hurts Iran really. It hurts their nuclear program, and sometimes it becomes deadly for their scientists also. So now we will be discussing about the second thing, that the Israel's point of view. What does Israel believe about the war? What is the perspective of Israel? What does Israel say? So first thing that Israel says, existential threat. Israel believes Iran as an existential threat. As I told you earlier, that many times protests erupt in Iran, and slogans, people often chant slogans like death to Israel. So that is the clear indication of their mindset, what they truly believe about Israel. So if this is the mindset, then Israel believes that this country is going to be an existential threat for me, because जिस दिन भी इसने न्यूक्लियर वेपन बना लिया उस दिन अपना काम तो ख़त्म है, ठीक है. Another thing is that support to anti-Israel policies. Israel also believes that support to anti-Israel proxies. Israel also believes that Iran is supporting its proxies and telling its proxies to work against the interest of Israel. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल ईरान की 3 मेजर प्रॉक्सीज हैं, इनको हमें ध्यान रखना. वन इज़ साउथ में इन द कंट्री ऑफ यमन, हूदी रेबल्स इन द रेड सी इन द कंट्री ऑफ यमन. सेकेंड इज़ हमास इन द गाज़ा स्ट्रिप, फिलिस्तीन में, ठीक है. एंड थर्ड इज़ हिजबुल्लाह इन द नॉर्थ ऑफ Israel in the country of Lebanon. Hezbollah in Lebanon in the north, then Hamas जो गाज़ा में है, and then Houthi rebels in the south, ठीक है. So these are the proxies of Iran. They work for Iran. ये ईरान के आदमी हैं, and whenever Iran orders them to do anything against the Israel, they conduct the operation. Now recently we have seen that Houthi rebels also launched a ballistic missile on the Israel. So it's obvious who could have provided them with ballistic missiles. Iran, obviously. So second thing that Israel believes is that opposition to Iranian nukes. Israel opposes a nuclear powered Iran. Israel opposes the concept of nuclear powered Iran. Israel believes a nuclear Iran will be a threat to Israel and will destabilize the Middle East and embolden proxy attacks. Because if Israel believes, because if the Iran gets the nuclear weapons, right now we are attacking. Anytime we feel that Iran is near to developing nuclear weapons, we do preemptive strikes. Preemptive strikes means there's one concept called defensive offense, doing offense for the defense. So that's what this is the concept that Israel believes in. So Israel often conducts the preemptive strikes, but if a country will have nuclear weapons, it will be very, very difficult for the Israel to conduct the preemptive strikes, because then it will be about the sovereignty of that country, and when the sovereignty of any country is hurt, the country wages war against the another country. So that is the reason why Israel fears a nuclear powered Iran. Israel fears this concept of nuclear powered Iran and acts accordingly against the Iran, so that Iran can never make nuclear weapon, ठीक है. Third thing that Israel believes is concerns over Syria, because in Syria is a country located above, as you might have also seen in the world map, that it's located above the Israel, in the north of Israel. So there's a presence of Iran in the Syria also. There's a presence of Iran in Syria and in the Lebanon also, in the form of Hezbollah. And in Syria also there are certain militant groups who act against the Israel and who are backed by the Iran. So this is also a concern of Israel, and those militant groups often bomb and Hezbollah targets. Iran also often bombs the Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, because Hezbollah works for the Iran. So that is why Israel often bombs Hezbollah in the Lebanon, and in the Beirut also. Beirut is the capital of Lebanon. Whenever Israel wants, Israel conducts the preemptive strikes and flattens them, ठीक है. Then the fourth thing is Abraham Accords strategy. Abraham Accords strategy में क्या किया इसराइल ने, जो कंट्रीज़ है ना, जैसे एक तो सऊदी अरेबिया, वन इज़ दैट सऊदी अरेबिया, सेकेंड इज़ UAE, थर्ड इज़ बहरीन, देन आई थिंक दिस वन मोर कंट्री, yes, UAE, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, only 3 countries in Abraham Accords. So USA and Israel signed the Abraham Accords with these Middle East countries, namely Saudi Arabia, Bahrain and United Arab Emirates. And the objective of Israel and US was, if we sign the Abraham Accords, which is if I tell you is signed, it's already signed, ठीक है. So Abraham Accords will make these countries more cordial and more friendly towards Israel, And when the majority of the Middle East countries will be more friendly and favorable towards the Israel, definitely Iran's interest will be hurt. And in this way, Iran can also isolate Israel can also isolate Iran, because if most of the Middle Eastern countries are the become friend of Israel, then definitely Iran will be isolated. And whenever you want to hurt someone, first you need to isolate him, at least in the context of geopolitics. Like we have also seen in the example of Russia Ukraine war. First, US put sanctions on Russia, and US told other countries also not to purchase anything, not to sell anything to Russia. So what US was doing? US was preparing the field. US was preparing the fielding, and also was telling the other countries to break all the relationship with the Russia. So what was being done? Russia was being isolated. At least that was the dream of the Americans, to isolate Russia. So that's same. That Russia was a big country, so it was a difficult task for him, and Russia is not isolated yet. But in the context of Iran also, they tried the same thing. They means US and Israel. In this context, they tried to isolate Iran, and to some extent they were successful also. Just wait a minute. Yeah, to some extent, Israel became successful also in its strategy to isolate Iran. Okay? Because most of the countries, including India, are not purchasing any kind of crude oil from the Iran. Earlier, India used to purchase crude oil from the Iran, but right now, India is also not purchasing. Okay. Now talking about the point of view of Iran. So let's discuss the point of view and what does Iran believes, because Iran would also have certain beliefs, and as a rational thinker, we need to look at both sides. So what does Iran believes? So first thing that Iran believes is anti-Zionist ideology. Anti-Zionist ideology. Iran believes in anti-Zionist ideology, and ईरान डजेंट रिकॉग्नाइज इसराइल एज अ लेजिटिमेट स्टेज. वो तो कहता है ये इलीगल है, ये तो बाहर से आए. इट वॉज अ फिलिस्तीन लैंड दैट द इसराइलीज ऑक्यूपाइड, दैट द ज्यूस ऑक्यूपाइड एंड सीज इट. एंड ईरान सीज इसराइल एज अ वेस्टर्न colonial outpost on Islamic land. Iran believes that it is a type of Western colonial outpost in the Islamic land, which I believe to some extent is true. Israel is an outpost of US in the Middle East. Any country if acts against the interest of US in the Middle East, Israel will do preemptive strikes or will bomb that country. We have many examples like Syria, Iraq during Saddam Hussein, and in the context of Lebanon also we have seen anytime they want, they go and bomb the country, the capital, the Beirut. So second, in Iran's POV, second thing is Iran's axis. Iran ties up with Hezbollah, Hamas and Houthi to act against Israel and Western influence. Third thing is strategic depth. Iran wants to secure itself in Iraq, Syria and Lebanon to encircle Israel and deter attacks. Now Iran has also some beliefs. Iran wants to secure its influence. Iran also wants to secure influence in the countries like Iraq, Syria and Lebanon to encircle the Israel. Now Iran also wants to do the same thing, but in this context, in the strategic depth, definitely Israel is winning, because to some extent in the Middle East, Iran has been isolated. Okay, so I have turned the fan off because otherwise it will create the noise, and I'm sweating right now. So the fourth thing in Iran's point of view is nuclear deterrent. Iran claims its nuclear program as peaceful, but uses it as a leverage against Western plus Israeli influence. So what Iran believes now, Iran's perspective is that Iran कहता है we are making nuclear weapon, but we are not making nuclear weapon just to hurt any country. We are making nuclear weapon so that peace can be established in the Middle East. If we become powerful, then peace will be established in the Middle East. Apart from that also, if any country tries to hurt our interest, then we can strongly act against that country. Not directly by using nuclear weapons, but definitely if a country will have nuclear weapons, other country will think twice or thrice before taking any concrete step against the country. Now let's discuss the fourth thing, current ongoing situation. Okay, current ongoing situation. First is major escalation about the, let's discuss something about the last year also. Okay, so on April 1, 2024, Israel bombs Iranian consulate in Damascus. Damascus is the capital of Syria. As I told you that in Syria, what is Israel's perspective? Israel said that there were some IRGC generals. IRGC is a part of military, or we can say as a paramilitary force of, it's a premium force. Okay, premium point. It's a part of military of Iran, IRGC. So Israel said that there were some IRGC generals in the consulate of Syria, and Israel believed that they were there for a meeting which was aimed at hurting the interest of Israel. So Israel did preemptive strike and bombed the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Now, in this strike, top IRGC generals were killed. So definitely Iran would become angry, and Iran became angry. And then on 14 April 2024, just after 14 days, just after 2 weeks, Iran launched a operation named True Promise. Okay? And in this operation, 300 drones were fired, plus cruise missiles were fired at Israel, and ballistic missiles were also at Israel. Most of them were intercepted by the Israeli defense system. Now, you also need to recall the name of 3 Israeli defense systems which are very important. One is Iron Dome, you may be aware. There are 2 more. One is David Sling and one is Arrow 3. So Iron Dome, David Sling and Arrow 3. Okay, there are 3. With the US help, Israel did and deterred the attack by the Iran. Then let's discuss the major ongoing situation, and let's discuss about the 2025 key operations. Okay, so just some days ago, on June 13, on the 13th of June 2025, Israel launches Operation Rising Lion. Israel launched an operation named Rising Lion. Okay, and Israel did massive airstrikes on 100 plus targets in Iran. 100 plus targets on Iran पे massive airstrike करी, including the nuclear facilities Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. ठीक है, and Israel conducted this strike with the help of 200 more than 11 squadrons of Air Force. So 200 fighter jets were used by Israel, and 6 air bases of Iran were destroyed in this attack. Definitely this was a very very big attack. Okay? So it's obvious Iran will react on from the 13th June to 20th June. From the 13th June to 20 June 2025. Mossad also carried out operation. Now most people don't know about this operation, that when the Israel was attacking Iran from the air, there were Mossad agents also which were stationed, which were living in Iran itself, who also hurted Iran and who also became active. They as soon as the Israeli Air Force attacked into Iran, they also became active, and they also started acting against the Israel. and Mossad carried out Operation Narnia, in which 10 plus Iranian nuclear scientists were assassinated. Can you believe? Everyone was covering that Israel is attacking Iran with fighter jets. There was Mossad also, which was acting against its enemy on the enemy land and was eliminating top scientists. ठीक है. And there were attacks across Tehran and Isfahan, and Mossad carried out attacks in Tehran and Isfahan using remote explosives and cover agents. Their undercover agents were there, and they carried out this attack. There was a ballistic missile facility of Iran also. So when Israel attacked Iran, Mossad agents became active, and they also attacked the ballistic missile facility. And there were a lot of fire there. There were a lot of explosions there, which some media channels were also covering. They were actually done by the Mossad agents who were living in the Iran. But people thought it's because of the that Israel did a strike on the facility, ballistic missile facility. But no, it was done by the Mossad agents. So both the IAF, means Israeli Air Force, plus the Mossad, they did this operation in collaboration, and their nexus proved to be very hazardous and very catastrophic for the Israel. Okay, for the Iran. And इधर एक मीम और वायरल हो गई थी. I want to tell you, when Iran attacked the Israel with ballistic missile, so what happened is that Iran also targeted Mossad headquarters in the Tel Aviv. ठीक है. But Israeli started joking about the same incident. They said, you attacked the Mossad headquarters, but agent तो थे नहीं वहाँ पे. All the agents were in your country. They were acting against you in your country, on your land. So you are hitting at the wrong place. So that was another meme that was going viral. Then coming towards next thing, अभी ये डिस्कस कर लिया जून 13 से जून 20 तक इजराइल ने क्या किया. नाउ लेट्स डिस्कस ईरान ने क्या किया अभी जस्ट कुछ दिन पहले. सो जून 14 से अभी तक ईरान हैज़ लॉन्च्ड ऑपरेशन ऑनेस्ट प्रॉमिस 3 या फिर ट्रू प्रॉमिस 3, जो पहले लाया था ना 2024 में, उसी का वर्जन, अपडेटेड वर्जन 3.2 लॉन्च. ठीक है. ऑपरेशन ट्रू प्रॉमिस और ऑनेस्ट प्रॉमिस 3. सो 150 मिसाइल्स वर फायर्ड. ये टेक्निकल डाटा है, मैं पढ़ देता हूँ. 100 प्लस ड्रोन्स. Iran fires 150 plus missiles, then drones on Israel. Then Iran also fired, first time in the history, Iran also fired hypersonic missile Fateh 1. ये मिसाइल याद रखना, Fateh 1 is the hypersonic missile of Iran. So Iran also fired this at Israeli cities directly on the civilians, because in war, after a certain period of time, countries don't think about the civilians. First they attack the military outpost, then they will attack anywhere wherever they like. Hospitals were also targeted, and military targets definitely were also targeted. And one interesting thing happened is that this time Iran used a lot of ballistic missile. So what happened is that earlier Iran and the Hamas, they were using very small drones, cheap drones. So Iron Dome used to intercept them. This time Iran launched a volley of ballistic missiles. जा रही हैं लगातार ballistic missiles. So because lot of ballistic missile came, Israel's iron defense system could not handle it. Earlier its accuracy was 90% plus. Means if you fire 10 missiles at Israel's air defense will shoot down 9 plus missile. But this time interesting thing happened. Accuracy of air defense system of the Israel was plumped to 60%. It came down to 60%. Earlier it was around more than 90% or 90%, but this time it fell down to 60%. Okay, so accuracy उसकी कम हो गई और कम missiles को deter कर पाया, because they were ballistic missiles. Okay. Let's move forward and now discuss what happened on June 22, 2025. अब ये काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है, ठीक है. ऑन जून 22, 2025, यूएस ऑल्सो इन्वॉल्व्स itself into the war. Earlier, for a week, Donald Trump was saying that he was pondering about the same thing, ठीक है, whether to help Israel openly or not, ठीक है. But finally, on June 2022, US gives surprise to the whole world and especially to its enemy, Iran. And US launches Operation Midnight Hammer. रात में हथौड़ा चला दिया, ठीक है. US launches this operation and 7 B-2 bombers. B-2 bombers, you know, is a very stealth bomber. US claims that no radar can detect this bomber. So 7 B-2 bombers dropped around 14 massive ordnance penetrators. Massive ordnance penetrators, they are also called MOPs. So B-2 bomber dropped 14 MOPs on 3 nuclear sites, Fordo, Isfahan and Natanz, and 30 Tomahawk missiles. These are very dangerous missiles, and 30 Tomahawk missiles were launched from the submarine also. Submarine wali no, not much of the, not more media channels covered this, but from the submarine also US launched missiles. Let me drink water, ठीक है, बहुत बोल लिया. सो अभी ये ऑन जून 22, 2025 जब यूएस ने अटैक कर दिया, देन ईरान कॉल्स डैमेज माइनर, बट यूएस क्लेम्स दैट इट कॉज सीवियर स्ट्रक्चरल डैमेज. ओके. एंड ऑन जून 23, 2025, Israel bombs Tehran airfields, command centers and even prison. Disabled 15 plus aircrafts on June 2025. On June 23, 2025, Israel also attacks Iran yet again and disabled 15 plus aircrafts and also caused damage to central Tehran, ठीक है. Apart from that also, now we will be discussing about the India's position, but before that let's discuss that just now, just some hours ago, right now it's the midnight of 24 June, and just some hours ago on 23rd June, late 23rd June, Iran has attacked the US bases. Iran has attacked the US bases. This I have written down its name. Al Udeid is the name of this. Let me check it. So yes, Al Udeid base. This is the biggest base of US military in the Middle East, and it's located in the country of Qatar. So this just news has come that Iran has launched an attack on the largest US military base, which is in Qatar. And apart from this also, it has also attacked several military bases of US in the Iraq also. Now Qatar is saying that it violated the sovereignty of Qatar, but actually, you know, Iran attacked the US military base, but definitely they were in their country, so they have got different perspective that Iran should not enter my country. Okay, so this is also the development, and when I will upload this video, and after that also many developments will keep on happening, and till your SSB also. So keep this knowledge in mind. Apart from that also, whatever recent incident is happening, please keep adding on. Keep adding on those things also, ठीक है. So let's discuss the India's position. So India's position is balanced diplomacy. India maintains strong ties with Israel, क्योंकि from the Israel we get defense equipment, we get like this one Heron drone also, ठीक है. which we got from Israel. Apart from that also we got lot of technology also from Israel. We got lot of agriculture, we take lot of agricultural technology also from Israel, from of drip irrigation and that about the green means there were some advancement and new technology in the field of agriculture also, or the something green related something is there, I forgot its exact name. So we take lot of technology, and Israel shares lot of technology with India, okay? So and Iran is also important for us. ईरान से भाई, ईरान में हमारा चावार पोर्ट है, वी डेवलप्ड चावार पोर्ट एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ अराउंड $800 million, ठीक है? एंड सो इंडिया एडवोकेट्स रिस्ट्रेंट and de-escalation. India tells that there is a need of de-escalation and don't fight, okay? Second is India's official stances. India condemned terrorism, ठीक है? इनिशियली जो टेररिज्म हुआ था, लाइक इन द कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ इसराइल गाजा वॉर भी, जो some Hamas terrorists, they killed certain many civilians of Israel. So India condemned that attack also, ठीक है, as a terrorist attack. Implicitly मतलब indirectly pointing at Iran backed groups, because Iran backed group है तो इंडिया ने कंडेम तो किया, इनडायरेक्टली ईरान बैक्ड जो ग्रुप था उसको भी कंडेम किया, बट ऑल्सो स्ट्रेस द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ पीस एंड डायलॉग। एट द सेम टाइम इंडिया वो भी कहता है पीस डायलॉग डिप्लोमेसी, ये फॉर्मूला याद कर लो, PDD, पीस डायलॉग डिप्लोमेसी। कहीं भी वॉर चल रही है, इंडिया का स्टांस पूछना है, चिपका दो, ठीक है? थर्ड इज नो साइडिंग, इंडिया डजंट साइड विद एनीवन, ठीक है? इंडिया हैज़ नॉट टेकन एनी साइड, इट कंटिन्यूज टू वर्क विद बोथ द पार्टीज टू सेफगार्ड इट्स नेशनल इंटरेस्ट, बिकॉज दोनों कंट्री इंपॉर्टेंट है हमारे लिए, यू नो, because Israel say we get lot of technology and defense equipment we get from Israel. Israel also supports us on international stage, while in Iran we have Chawar port, and this one corridor also, INSTC, International North South Transport Corridor, which starts from Russia, comes all the way to Caspian Sea, then it comes to Iran, and if in Iran it connects the Iran's Chabhar port to the Mumbai port and the other ports in Gujarat. So this is a future concept that this INSTC corridor will also be built. Actually, it is under development. It's not currently in use that much as like other corridors and other means of transportation. But recently, I think last year, shipment from Russia also came from the same corridor. Okay, so INSTC passes through Iran. Therefore, it becomes important. Second is Chawar port. Chawar ports connects us to Afghanistan, because Pakistan बिगड़ैल बच्चा है, वो इधर से जाने नहीं देता है. So we need a route to access the Afghanistan and Central Asian countries. So Chawar ports provides us the access to the Central Asian countries as well as to the अफगानिस्तान में हमारे काबुल में भैया रहते हैं, अल हबीबी वाला, एंड दे सपोर्ट अस, ठीक है? दुरन रैन पे देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन द अफगानी पीपल एंड द पाकिस्तान. सो इफ दिस एनिमिटी बिटवीन द अफगानी एंड द पाकिस्तानी, इट्स बेटर फॉर इंडिया, बिकॉज whenever if the Pakistan tries to do any kind of misadventure against the India, and the Afghani people are in favor of India, then Pakistan will really think twice, because they can also attack from their side, because they also have certain land disputes with Pakistan. And during the Operation Sindoor also, there were certain calls that you attack from here, India attack from here, and we will attack from there. So friendship with Afghanistan also is connected to Chabhar port, because that is the only way of trade. And Chabhar port also connects us to Central Asian countries. Now earlier Central Asian countries was much more dependent on Russia, but now because Russia has involved itself in the Ukraine war, Central Asian countries need an alternative. India can be alternative, so India need to trade with them. So how do we trade with Central Asian countries? Through the Chawar port. So here Chawar port becomes important, okay? So we have discussed the India's position, and 3 points we have discussed: balanced diplomacy, official stance, and no siding. Okay. So now let's discuss the sixth thing: impact on India. So first thing is in the context of diplomatic sphere. इसमें ना इंडिया इज फॉलोइंग केयरफुल स्ट्रेटजिक बैलेंसिंग. वी वॉन्ट साइड विद एनी कंट्री, ठीक है. एंड इंडिया इज ऑल्सो too much supply for too much. And yes, this is also the thing that if India supports Israel too much, it may alienate Iran भाई अकेला पड़ जाएगा. And if India makes too much closeness with Iran, then US and Israel will get angry कि भाई ईरान से इतनी दोस्ती क्यों कर रहे हो भाई, हम में क्या बुराई है, ठीक है. So and second thing is that energy security. Iran was a key oil supplier to India, but right now Iran supply नहीं करता है because US has sanctioned Iran, and India is also abiding by those sanctions, and India is also not importing any kind of crude oil from Iran right now. For means since I think before pre-corona period we used to import from Iran, but right now at least for next at least in the last 4-5 years we have not imported any crude oil from Iran, and we are continuously increasing our import of crude oil from the Russia. Earlier we used to import 1.5 million barrels of crude oil from Russia per day, but right now in the month of June there is an estimation that we are going to import around 2 million to 2 million से लेके 2.2 million barrels of crude oil per day in the month of June. So so in this way Russia is becoming more important for us. And the thing is that any instability in the state of Hormuz, we are importing from most of our crude oil from the Russia, but we are also importing from the Middle East countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. Okay, so any instability in the Strait of Hormuz, because Iran often say that in case of full-scale war with the Israel, Iran will choke the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is a strait located near to the Iran and the UAE, and it's a very narrow strait, ठीक है, of not more than 50 kilometers or 100. It's not more. Distance is not too much. Iran's navy can easily choke that point. So, and because the most of the trade of the oil passes through that route, it's a concern for the countries like India, China, and for the other South Asian countries as well. So any instability in the Strait of Hormuz, through which 60%, earlier 60%, right now around 50% of the India's oil passes through, it can directly affect India's energy prices, ठीक है. Third thing is that India's impact on India's diaspora and evacuation risk. Because if the full scale war starts, we need to evacuate our people who are living in the Middle East countries, because it becomes a threat for them, and in the context of security it's not feasible for them to stay in the war torn countries, so we need to get them back as fast as possible. So it becomes a challenge. So that's why India believes that there should be de-escalation if there's any conflict in any part of the world. So recently we also evacuated our certain civilians from the Iran also under the Operation Sindhu, ठीक है. सिविलियंस हम लोगों ने वापस बुलाए हैं अंडर ऑपरेशन सिंधु. दे ट्रेवल्ड फ्रॉम ईरान टू अर्मीनिया, देन वी एयरलिफ्टेड देम फ्रॉम अर्मीनिया टू इंडिया, ठीक है. एंड इफ द फुल स्केल वॉर स्टार्ट्स, इंडिया नीड टू डू मैसिव इवैक्यूएशन, सो दैट बिकम्स अ चैलेंज फॉर इंडिया. सो दैट्स वाई इंडिया सेज लड़ाई झगड़ा मत करो. And then fourth thing is the Chabhar port project. If the full scale war starts, if there's a escalation in the conflict, then escalation threatens the strategic Chabhar port, which is also importance for India and it's India's gateway. It is the India's gateway to Central Asia and Afghanistan, as I told you previously. Then fifth thing is their defense procurement. Israel is among the top 3 weapon suppliers to India. Do you know? And for the Israel, India is the largest arms importer. So here it becomes important for the India to tell the countries who are involved in the conflict not to fight and to de-escalate. And because if there's a war in the Middle East, if Israel is involved in the war, we may get our procurement late, because we have also seen in the context of Russia-Ukraine war, our S-400 batteries arrived late in India, and our defense imports were their delivery also their delivery also came late because of Russia-Ukraine war. So war affects the production and the production capability of that country. So that's why we believe that there should be no war. Okay? And we import drones, Heron drones from Israel, plus radar, plus missiles and other technology also. Okay? Last thing is that economic ripple effect. Okay? Rise in global prices will lead to inflation in most of the countries. Okay? Because when the oil prices will rise, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट बढ़ेगा. जब ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट बढ़ेगा, एवरी कमोडिटी जो आपके पास आती है फैक्ट्री से चल के ट्रांसपोर्टेशन से आती है, देन प्राइजेस ऑफ ईच एंड एवरी कमोडिटी इन द कंट्री विल इंक्रीज. इट विल लीड टू इन्फ्लेशन. ठीक है. एंड सेकेंड थिंग इज दैट ग्लोबल ट्रेड डिसरप्शंस वाया पर्शियन गल्फ रूट्स मे अफेक्ट इंडियाज एक्सपोर्ट इम्पोर्ट सेक्टर. बिकॉज अभी देयर इज वन ऐप, आई डोंट नो द नेम ऑफ दैट ऐप. वहाँ पे ये दिखता है मीन्स हाउ फ्लाइट्स आर गोइंग इन द कंट्री एंड विच इज़ द रीजन इन द वर्ल्ड मैप from where flights are not going and they are choosing another parts, they are avoiding that route. So if we check out on that app, it is visual. I saw one photo that there are no airplane flying over Iraq, Israel, and that over Iran also there is no aeroplane flying, because that is the conflict zone and Iraq also comes in between. So through the conflict zone, no airplane would like to fly, and when no airplane would like to fly, definitely trade happens via means of airways also. So it will halt the supply, and not only for the India but for the whole world. Okay? Because if they are avoiding any fixed route, they are going for any other alternative, time will be increased, fuel will be increased, and they will face several critical problems also. Then now let's discuss the seventh thing. I think it's the second last thing. Okay, it's 48 minutes. I will try to complete it in next 10 minutes. Okay. In the future aspect, Israel may keep going. Yes, in the future aspect, Iran may continue pursuing its goal of developing nuclear weapons, and Israel also may keep doing preemptive strike. आप nuclear weapon बनाते रहोगे and we will keep doing preemptive strikes. Okay. And in the future, this war may also lead to proxy war, and Russia-China can get involved. And believe me, this conflict is going to be escalated, because just now Iran has also attacked the US military base. There are high chances that now US can involve itself in this war more openly. Okay. Iran's proxies can get activated in the future. Apart from that, if we think from India's strategic opportunity, India has a strategic opportunity during this wartime. India can boost defense readiness and evacuation skills. India can learn several things from this war, and we can also push for energy diversification, which we are already doing. We are purchasing more oil from Russia than from the Middle East, because there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of stuff hell going on there. If we purchase from there, it will definitely cause problem for us. So Russian imports can help in this aspect. And I already told you that in the month of June, our import from Russia, our oil import from Russia may surge to 2.2 million barrels of oil per day, which is more than the oil that we import from Saudi Arabia, plus Iran, plus UAE, plus Kuwait combined. ये 4 कंट्रीज से जितना ऑयल नहीं मंगाते ना, उससे ज़्यादा हम लोग अभी रशिया से मंगा रहे हैं. So let's come to last thing, military lessons that the Indian Armed Forces can learn, gentlemen. So in this, we will be discussing about in which area we can learn and what is the lesson. First thing is air defense. Iron Dome plus David Sling plus Aero 3 has proved that air defense system become very important to deter the enemy's attack. In this aspect, I would like to say that India's air defense system has also worked very well, I must say, during the Operation Sindoor, because we have S-400, we have our indigenous Akash missile defense system. Apart from that, we have medium range surface to air missile air defense system, MRSAM. So Akash and MRSAM is for short distances, S-400 is for the long distances, and we took down most of the drones and that were coming from the Pakistan during the Operation Sindoor, which included the Bayraktar drone of Turkey also. We also took them down, and actually they are very effective drones. They have proved their strength in the Russia-Ukraine war also. Okay? Pakistan is importing from Turkey. Second area in which we can learn, our armed forces can learn, is that drone warfare. This is an era of drone warfare, and it started from Russia-Ukraine war, and now it's not going to end. Okay? Swarm drones becomes very important for India, and just today I got this news. It's a very positive news that Indian Army has ordered around 450 Nagast drone from Nagast drone, which are loitering munitions, which are kind of suicide drone, kamikaze drone है ये इंडिया के नागास्त्र ड्रोन, and India has ordered 450. ठीक है, नागास्त्र ड्रोन. Then third thing our armed forces can learn is deep strike capability, and we have also proved this in context of Pakistan. We striked the terrorist camps in the Bahawalpur, and in the we struck deep into the Pakistan. Okay? So this ability I think we have already developed. Apart from that, also we can also work on bunker busting capacity. ठीक है, ऐसे बम लाओ जो बंकर को ब्लास्ट कर दें. जैसे आसिम मुनीर इस बार छुपा था, अगली बार नहीं बचना चाहिए. ठीक है, like US B2 bomber did. Like most of the nuclear facilities of Iran, they are underground. So that's why US used B2 bomber, because B2 bomber has bombs which can create impact up to 60 meter downwards. अब वो अलग बात थी कि generally the Iran's nuclear facilities are 90 meter below. But this is the thing, that we also need bombs for the bunker that have bunker busting capacity. Okay? Fourth thing we can learn is about the intelligence operation like Mossad, and we are effectively doing this. You would be aware about the unknown man in Pakistan, so I think we are doing well in that aspect also, and we can further enhance it. Okay? Another thing we can learn is cyber warfare. India must strengthen its military capability, military cyber division. India must strengthen its military cyber division, because cyber attacks becomes very important in the current conflicts. Okay? It can take down the whole division of a army or military. Then civilian defense become important. Systems like siren and public readiness and bomb shelters become very important, and this we can learn from Israel also. India can also replicate in border areas. India can also replicate this civilian defense concept in the border areas, because it becomes very important for them, for their safety and readiness. At the last, in the conclusion, I would like to say that this war escalated in multi-domain. Now it's not like only Air Force is fighting. Agents are activated, armies are fighting, Navy can also get activated in the future. Air Force is already fighting, missiles are being fired, proxies are being used, many countries are coming in support. So it has become a multi-domain war. Okay? एंड इट्स अ मल्टी फ्रंट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो गई है, अलग अलग फ्रंट्स पे लड़ी जा रही है. यूएस बेसिस भी अटैक हो रहे हैं, उसकी न्यूक्लियर फैसिलिटीज़ भी अटैक हो रही हैं, डायरेक्ट इसराइल भी हिट हो रहा है. सो इट हैज़ बिकम मल्टी फ्रंट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विद डायरेक्ट स्ट्राइक्स, with US involvement via stealth power, and it has become the multi-front conflict and multi-domain conflict by the because we have also seen the assassination of the nuclear scientists of Iran took place. Apart from that, also the use of drone and hypersonic missiles and massive cyber attacks were also carried out, and proxy activities has also increased. And at the end, I would like to say this: for India follows the neutral strategy, as we know, and it is the need of the hours. ठीक है, we are in developing stage. We can't take any side. ठीक है, if we go towards any side, other side will get upset, and we don't want to make anyone sad at this point of time when we are growing. We don't want enemies. We want friends. We want supporters. We want partners who can do trade with us, who can support us. ठीक है, we don't want enemies at this point of time. So it's a good strategy by India, and India has to work on diplomatic tightrope during these conflicts. We have also seen that the Western countries were continuously pressurizing India during the Russia-Ukraine war, and same perseverance and same resilience we need to show during this war also. And we need to work on diplomatic tightrope, and energy and risk planning we need to do, and serious military lessons should be learned from this conflict. Apart from that, and especially in the case of next generation warfare and evacuation readiness, because now warfare has changed. ठीक है, we have seen that Iran during the Iran-Israel conflict, that earlier this was not the case. Earlier the countries who share boundaries used to fight openly, but right now there are chances that Iran and Israel may get into the full scale war, and they do not even share the border. So high tech technology becomes important. ठीक है, drones become important, swarm drones, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, air force and air defense system. ठीक है, robotics, and apart from that also that cyber warfare also becomes important, because and India can also prepare itself for the chemical warfare. There are chances that enemy country can also use chemical and biological warfare in the future. We need to be ready about this. And that was all about Israel-Iran war. And देखना भाई, and enjoy the topic. If you like this, please do inform me, please do tell me if you liked it, because बहुत गर्मी में बनाया है भाई, समझ रहे ना. ठीक है, so we'll meet again, and I hope I made you clear. And I'm not tired, I'm very energetic. ठीक है, right now also I'm very energetic, but yes, I gave effort during the midnight. So enjoy it. Jai Hind.